Hello and welcome to another episode of The Modern Nerd. I am Sir Slice,
I'm merchandise.
And I'm GJC.
and we are, as always, massive nerds. So, this week, we're coming at you with a Loki Season 2 halfway point episode. We've seen the first three, but before we talk about those, as always, I want to go ahead and give a big shout out to my co-hosts here, Smirch and GJC327. Thank you very much for doing this with me every week and bearing with me as I slowly edit and post these episodes. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Anybody who comments or leaves a little we appreciate that as well. If you want more of that content on the hour, go ahead and hit that bell button, and every time I post one, you'll see a new one come up and you won't miss a new episode. So, thank you, as usual. For today's episode, we are going to again be talking about Loki Season 2. The first three episodes, we are halfway through. There are three left. Man, I am... for me, I'm thoroughly enjoying this season. I can't... There's really not a lot bad that I would say. I could think of one thing, spoilers, because it'll go into episode 3. So if you haven't watched that, take a break, go watch it, come on back, you know? But the only thing I didn't like was in episode 3, and it was Jonathan Majors. I thought that was the weirdest choice of a performance. I get what they were doing. As soon as he stepped off the stage, and came down into the crowd and was talking to people, I'm like, oh, he's got a stutter. Got it. Had no clue what was happening up before that point. I was like, what is this presentation? It's super weird, but whatever. I love the way this show starts. I love the way that the first episode really just hit the ground running and kind of had this kind of chaotic energy, this frantic, manic back and forth trying to figure out what's going on with Loki, why he's jumping through time, and how they can fix that, and how they can fix the bigger problem as we're slowly introduced to Ki-hee Kwan's character, Ouroboros, OB, because I'm not going to remember how to say that again. I got lucky the first time. And that was fantastic. And then, just for a quick overview, the second one was them kind of reuniting with Sylvie, because she's the key to this all, quote unquote. It seems to me that all of their key to this all moments have all been wrong, and they all just kind of snowball into something greater, which is what I kind of like about this. Is they're just kind of they're trying, failing, but they're trying and they're going through it. And then the third episode, they kind of go back and address the elephant in the room of they need some DNA or whatever signature from He Who Remains, A. Kang. So we'll break that down because I got a lot to say about Victor Timely and that version of He Who Remains / Kang / all of that. But Dan, what is your overall feel of this?
It's good, man. It feels like old times.
Yep.
It feels like back when the MCU was on top and not this kind of we weren't swimming in mediocrity. I immediately feel like I was thrust back into the show. Didn't feel like it missed a step. It feels similar in that we do have an objective. The objective is to fix the whatever
loom. Temporal loom.
The temporal loom. So at least there's that. Beyond that, I almost would forget about that. I guess it took us a while to get there, because until we did, it felt like the old the first season of Loki, because it was we don't really know. It just felt like we didn't really know what was happening. What is his objective? What is the goal here? And it kind of reminded me of that and how annoyed I was at first. But now I just know that I trust these showrunners to get where they need to go, and I'm enjoying the fuck out of it. It's so it's nonstop, and you are glued to the TV set from start to finish, and everyone's doing a great job. The acting, the writing, the story. I think it's the best thing I've seen from the MCU in a long time. It's great.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
George.
Yeah, I mean, just generally consensus, is that it's probably the best thing that they've put out in a very long time. I think, it being the first one to have a second season means a lot. I think the fact that they chose Loki to come back with a second one means really a lot. So, this is a win for them, for Marvel, for Disney. Like, this is the way they should have. The attention that they put into this should have been what they've done all along for all their series, and unfortunately they stretched themselves too thin, and we saw what happens. So hopefully this is a return to form. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I guess Slice, if you want to get into specifics, we can do that.
Wow. I mean, I'll leave. I know what y'all want to talk about. So the big thing I want to talk about since episode 3. So George, why don't you go ahead and get into the specific, maybe the character you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, me and Dan both wanted to talk about Kihui, and also who plays Obi. He's obviously recently coming off some really amazing success after years in the business, but I think it's just ironic because the movie he's known for winning an Oscar is about a multiverse as well. So the fact that he's in this is very meta. It's hilarious in many ways. There's a lot of funny theories about his character. Obviously, we think his history is very much so a mystery because he seems to be in a different situation than anyone else in the TV as far as what he remembers and doesn't remember. There is a lot of like weird theories that it's like semi-sinister, which I hope to God it isn't, because he seems like he has the purest heart out of anyone. And it's just like when Casey met him, and like when you meet Casey, he's like someone who's pure of heart too, like kind of like an innocent, not pure heart, but like an innocent babe in the woods. He's just really like a cog who's trying to do his thing in this larger machinery. And this is just another character like that. You come to realize the TVA, even though that first season everyone's just like, we're just like erasing timelines left and right, that like it's filled with cogs in this larger apparatus who genuinely just like want to do, like, who are bureaucrats but who are trying to like juggle the whole entire existence and make sure it runs smoothly every single day. And that's like an interesting perspective that I think Loki is trying to get home with the female Loki, with Sylvie, so I love it. Like that not everyone in the TVA is bad, which is like a crazy concept, I think, for Sylvie, who was like, what the like. So Obi, another great character like that.
It's interesting you brought up the whole like how the TVA has just switched their mindset overnight, and I had a problem with that. I'm not gonna lie. Hunter B-15 going, or whoever it was going, those were lives that were lost, and I'm like, you mean what you've been doing since like you guys stabilized the timeline? Like, it's just, I guess the difference is they're aware of what they're doing now versus they didn't really know what they were doing then. But that didn't sit with me. I was like, you guys have been like murdering people like for who knows how, like literally, like I don't know, there's no way to measure time, like since time began in a sense.
Right.
And I'm like, and now you lose a few more and you're like, I'm like, I don't know. I was like, okay, well, whatever. But anyway, back to Ki-hee Kwan. He is he's such a delight, and an already very delightful show, and it's
he's a scene stealer. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, for a star to shine so bright in a room full of stars is no small feat, and he's a very interesting character, and who even said the mere mention of a possible evilness, I can't even, if they actually did that, if they pulled the trigger on that would be like a Game of Thrones level of betrayal, and I wouldn't even know if I would be mad or like respecting it. Like I can't even deal with that thought right now, to be honest.
I'm not mad at that, to be honest. I love a good twist.
I'm not mad at it. My heart would break.
No,
but he's so great. There is definitely he has a key. There's some sort of like, he's retaining some knowledge that since he retains so much that he has forgotten to mention or some point that he will like, probably conveniently remember at a key plot point. But regardless, that's going to happen, and there's might even be something at like a very large plot point that he remembers. And I'm just glad it's him, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, he's fantastic in this. Just delivery and everything is so
That's not
perfect and
possible.
so amazing. Yeah, that's not just the
It's
way.
not possible
So-
in the
It's
TV.
so good. I'm so excited. I really do. Honestly, if they give him, as long as they don't kill him, I'm cool with him kind of like turning,
Dude.
like and just being like a like a sub villain in the future. I don't even know, but like if they kill him, then I riot. But like if he gets
Yeah.
a character change and becomes something different and sticks around for the future, like cool, yes, let's do that, and that's fine.
I don't want you
But
to do this. I want
I
him to be good and pure and alive forever.
yeah,
Yeah.
forever. And I will hold him and love him and hug him, and he will be mine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
So it
Beautiful
is
performance, honestly.
yeah, beautiful. My big things come in season 3, in episode 3, when we are introduced in Chicago, no less. What's up? Go go. To Victor Timely. So I've read the Victor Timely stuff a while back, and like that variant and like what it was and everything. And the big thing for me is he's not a variant in the comics.
No,
He
he's not.
is Kang, who goes back in time and sets up shop there to sort of retreat from everything that's going on in the present, in whatever he's doing in his present
Right.
at that time. So he is the one in the same person throughout the time, and he set
Right.
that up as like, oh, I'll be the mayor of Timely, Wisconsin, or whatever. Which I do like that they mention Wisconsin in this. And then in the future, he then that town holds more power for him. He can use it for whatever, storage in like a little vacuum in space or something like that. So that's where that is. So I'm like, okay, he's different. He's not the same Kang as Kang, and they've already established they've already killed 2 Kangs. So I don't really know what they're doing with that, which is kind of like my big thing is like, you're killing off these variants. Is this guy gonna die? I don't know. Probably they've killed him. Like I said,
My
supposedly killed him.
My question is,
killed 2 Kangs. Who are the 2? Who's the second Kang they've killed?
He died in
an Ant-Man.
Ant-Man
Yeah.
and the
Who's the
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
second one?
First one's He Who Remains.
He Who Remains. Sylvie
Oh, I
kills
see.
him.
Right.
It's still a Kang. It's just a different name.
Right.
My
I got
question
you.
is,
Mhm.
is Kane, He Who Remains, well, let's just call him Kane, like Prime, the one that we were introduced to first.
Sure.
Is he a man from the future, or is he a man from 18 whatever?
I'm not. I can't even.
Is that when
get into
is that when Kane
conversation.
Prime existed too? Because like didn't he say he was from like the 30th century or whatever? Did he ever introduce himself as being from the future in the MCU?
I don't remember, so I don't have a definitive answer for you, but I do. I want to say I want to lean towards yes, that he was, and that it was an older version of him from the future during a time war, and then he set up. Maybe it was the past. It's so confusing because he set up a time loop, essentially. He set up this loom and he set up this whole thing that contains this universe, but separates it from all the rest. So time where he is doesn't matter compared to where Victor Timely is, because they're separate universes and they can exist at different points in time within those universes.
It's very crazy. It's very crazy. Like to try to figure out, because it leaves a lot of questions.
I have a question, teacher. What is the loom doing?
Yeah, I kind of was thinking about that a minute ago when you guys were talking, because
The loom
it's
weaves together all the
time.
timelines into one, like into stabilizing.
It's a one what?
Yeah, because
into the sacred timeline.
But like, there's
That's not
still
how-
other
but
timelines, though.
But there's still other timelines in that loom. Isn't that what's happening?
Or is
I
it
don't
that
understand.
there's other looms that contain those other timelines? Is this happening? Is this loom
Jesus.
happening an infinite amount of times, like we saw in Multiverse of Madness,
The
where
way
they
I
jump
saw it
from all
was
those
that
different
at
universes?
the beginning of the loom, it
They'll have
comes
loom.
out as a thread, right? And then as it does a circle around the TVA, by the time this loom does the thread does a full circle to the TVA, to the other end of it, it's already got a bunch of splits and needs to be rewoven into the sacred timeline once again. That's how they keep the sacred timeline stable. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Look,
Yeah,
I
but
was
but
really
it's
hoping. I was really hoping nobody
okay.
asked this question because we could spend the next hour and a half talking about the
all
logistics
right.
Let's
of
just move
time
on.
looms.
Yeah, let's move on. Maybe we'll find out in future episodes.
Does anyone have any other points? I have one that I want to bring up, but it's kind
I
of like
mean,
the end of the episode
yeah,
point. I think it's the
the
missed
big thing
minutes.
at the end. Yeah.
And the end of this is episode 3, which I think was a very compelling one between Miss Minutes, Ravonna, and Victor Timely, and that like you see this jealousy erupt from like there's a little relationship coming between Ravonna. Is that her name, Ravonna? Yes.
Yep.
Renslayer.
And Timely, Renslayer. Thank you. Renslayer and Timely kind of have this connection, and Miss Minutes is super jealous because, as we find out later, she sees herself as like the one that deserves his love because he created her and she wants to be real. I'm a real boy now, and like that's where she wants to be, and like okay, that's kind of cool. I like it. And so like
Tale as old as time.
betrayal, backstabbing, yada yada, and then suddenly, kind of like at the end when they both get kicked into the end of time, they're both just like, well, now I guess we're friends again, kind of, sort of working together. Like that was a little weird to me. But then she says, "The secrets I know about you, something would like blow your mind," or something along those lines. So here's my theory. Okay, I think that was a reshoot, and I think this is their course correction for Jonathan Majors. She is a Kang variant.
Oh,
That's my theory. You heard it here first. Maybe other people said it, but I like my theory. I think that would be if I were the man in charge and I wanted to get rid of Jonathan Majors, that's how I would have done it. This, to me, it fits. She becomes something more. She's already an established character. We know who she is if you've watched the shows, granted not the movies. But, it's something you can build on going forward instead of trying to wedge in a different face for Kang. You've got one built into the show.
I like it, except she says, I got a secret. You're not going to like it. I think Renslayer would like that. So my theory is a little more like typical.
Yeah, lay it on me.
Maybe it's true. You're not going to like it. She says that because Miss Minutes was experiencing the jealousy, and she's looking forward to telling her the secret. And that secret is you're his daughter or his descendant or something. You were related to him. So you were just hitting on your great grandpappy.
I think it's
I don't know.
A little bit more simple than that.
More simple than that.
George is probably right.
I think it's pretty simple. I think it's just that he erased her memory and that they were together and they did try to run the TVA together. And when she wanted more power and made for a power grab, he won the battle and he erased her memory and just made her work for him for all these eons. That first time there was a revolution. Good, I bet you Renslayer tried to take too much power and Kang was not happy about it.
You know what the problem with all three of these theories is? I like them.
They're good.
Yeah, they're good theories. So you know what it means? It means that like she's dead or something like that. You know what I mean? They're gonna be like, "Oh, you die." He
that's loves her, but he can't force himself to kill her. So he just made her forget, and then he put her in a position where she always is in servitude for him for all eternity. And like they've tried this before. They tried to share power.
Oh, I don't know, man. That's pretty
the two of them,
good.
like because in the comics, that's who they're like. That's his wife. Do you know what I'm saying? That's his wife in the future in the comics. I mean, I think there's a romance. I think it didn't work out. I honestly don't think it worked out between them. And Miss Minutes says is going to let him know that you made it like the first time around. You did try to share power with him. He turned on you. Like you realize how like fucking crazy he was.
He does have someone he loves in the future. He has a wife or something in the comics or someone along those lines.
It's Renslayer. In the comics, she gets sick. And he keeps trying to his whole point of existing is that he's trying to find a perfect like existence or a perfect future where she doesn't die.
They Victor frees the character. Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
They give
Pretty
him
much
that same motivation. You're not wrong. Which I'm sad about my theory then. I still like all three of ours and would be honestly happy with any of them as long as it's not some. I don't like Dan's as much because they just Skywalker it and you're like, fuck you.
I was just in the shower and I was like, why would Miss Minutes be so keen to tell her something and that just given what had just transpired, it made sense to me. But yeah, to be honest, I don't love mine either. That's just what came to my head.
I don't hate it.
Yeah,
if
we've
Star
had enough
Wars
of that.
hadn't done it, it would have been better this time around. You know what I mean?
To be fair, they're always doing that shit in time travel. So I agree. I'm not a huge fan of it either. That's just what I thought.
That's the muddy part of this whole thing is time travel. It's funny because they're not really time traveling, I think, as much. I think that Loki was, but everyone else is going to different universes, which is different. That's different. And so I don't know.
I really thought that the Loki kind of whatever Ki Kwan called it, time jumping or whatever, time slipping.
That's not possible in the TVA.
Yeah, but that's not possible. I love him. There was a reason for that, and they really brushed over it as soon as it got like fixed. So that makes me think that like there's something that we probably saw that I'm willing to go back and rewatch in those episodes when he went forward in time that we may have missed or that may play a key like point later on.
Was he forward, or did he say he was forward and we found out he was backwards? Because then he breaks the wall in the present and you see the picture of Kang.
No. Dan's talking about that part. Dan's talking about that part when Mobius is like outside by the loom, and then he's being pulled through the.
Yeah.
He's being pulled through the loom. Like he's talking about right before then, Loki jumps to the future and he sees the writing on the computer.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Skin. And the question is there something more in that moment in the future?
Well, I guess I misinterpreted what Tim was saying. I thought that when he slammed his fist and broke the something, that he was then in the future and saw it like way later on. I thought there might have been something in that scene we missed, but more importantly, what George was talking about.
I mean, it could be both. You know what I mean?
I think what George was talking about, he's something in the computer. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe not.
And also, we saw Sylvie. We saw Sylvie in the elevator, but Sylvie doesn't remember it. She says that's not her.
Right. That's. Oh my god, I forgot almost. Yeah,
because she's like running around, and he's like, "Where is everyone?" Blah 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 blah. And because like the whole TVA is like it sounds like the TVA is fucking about to explode, and he's running around, and then Sylvie shows up, and Sylvie's like, "There you are," and then he gets fucking.
This is a good show, man. I love it because it's finally given us a moment where all three of us have our own individual theories. You know, we each are coming to the table thinking, being like, I want to know, like, what is this about? There hasn't been a show like that in the MCU, or really in much that I've watched lately, other than, you know, the original Loki or WandaVision and stuff like that. And so, like, you know, I want more. I mean, yes, you got a little bit of that, but it was kind of forced with like, you know, kind of like She-Hulk, because they kind of like did that on purpose, I think, to kind of troll us and stuff like that. But it was, they're doing everything right still on this show.
Shout out to Miss Minutes, Tara Strong.
Tara Strong, shout out.
Freaking legend in voice acting. Next time at
conventions, please take credit. Don't just take cash. I went to go to meet her, and I got up to the front of the line. It said big ass sign, not big, but a little sign that was like cash only. I was like, the fuck? So I didn't get to meet her.
Damn. I just think it's funny that now both Miss Minutes and Kang are canceled.
Yeah. Why is she canceled?
Anti-Palestinian tweets.
Really? I didn't know that.
All right. Damn.
Yeah, she got fired for some other job. I don't know if we don't know about this because this has already been, you know, is already on its way. Like
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts? Loki season 2 first half.
Really good. Feels good to be back.
Yeah.
You know,
Tom Hiddleston, man.
He's great, man.
I love it. It's a buddy cop comedy
show. They're all so good.
Owen Wilson,
so lovable.
I know.
I love him.
And you
they're
didn't
all
think
doing
that this duo was missing somebody until you're like, oh my god, this third
He
guy who's
won.
coming in is great.
It's fantastic. I
Like
like the
the,
little core group that they're building. I think that's kind of neat.
what's his name from the first season? The guy,
Casey.
Casey.
yeah, he had a little bit more of a role in this, and it's
I
good.
like
Yeah,
it.
he's likable. Like
Oh,
the moment
yeah.
where he meets Ouroboros, he's like, "Wait, you wrote this?" I was like, "Oh, there's a little like
Also, Docs.
finally some recognition." Like
We didn't talk about Brad and
the TV
Docs.
handbook.
Who?
Brad and Docs, General Docs.
So okay, I will mention this for real quick.
The big
before
bad
we go,
guy, I
'cause
guess,
we're trying
right
to keep
now.
this short. Docs, I don't. That whole that whole thing didn't seem necessary with her like going and trying to like. I get it. They went and like destroyed all the timelines and all that shit. But like now you find out in the end that they're all expanding again. So like what they did was useless. They just murdered a shitload of people for new timelines to take over, and that wasn't a full fix. They only bought time. And then there's. I don't even remember the dude who was the actor, played the actor that going back in time. Like, I don't remember who he was. Was he in season 1? Was he in
I don't think so.
episode 1?
He was never.
Was
this is his first season.
Yeah, we watched the
'Cause
season
it's
right
like-
before this.
Because they just drop his name, and I was like, who the fuck are they talking about? They're like, yeah, X52 or whatever the hell his name is.
Well, he
And
showed
I was-
up to talk to them to bring them to the meeting, and that was it.
Is
and
that
they're
who
like,
it was?
we
That's
don't
the same
see
guy?
you down here very often. He's like, yeah, they want to fucking see you in the.
I did
Order.
I love that Loki is leaning into Loki. He's like, he leaned into it to be like, oh, you think I'm a bad guy? Here we go. Like he did it so well. It's so menacing, and I was just like, ooh, do it, fuck him up. Like just do something.
Yeah, it was good. It made me realize there should have been more of that in the first season, if we're being honest. Like, and you also think about the fact that like season 1 and season 2 are taking place in the span of 72 hours. Like that's fucking wild when you think about that.
In the span
maybe a little
of
more
time.
Yeah, right. Well, whatever. In regular time and within the infinite time loop. Like there should have been a little bit more of that in the first season. But we as an audience already saw Loki's growth, so they felt the showrunners that it was the best to just kind of go with what we knew. And I get that, but there should have been a little bit more. And it was good to see it kind of come back into play just a little bit, just a little taste of what Loki was actually like once at some point.
It's good. The whole show as a whole, I think, is working, and I think this, if MCU, if Kevin Feige and everybody has, because now that they're not rebooting, but like ramping back up. Other than we'll talk about the rebooting of Daredevil next time, but the ramping up, re-ramping up of everything that they've been working on, they've kind of with that Daredevil reboot, which again we'll talk about later. They're kind of saying, okay, we get it. All right, now is our moment to take what we have and fix it and do it a little different than maybe what we were planning. Because what they were planning was essentially like a piñata. You hit it, and now you've got everything Marvel for the next 20 years. But I think they're slowing it back. They're pulling it back. And I think Loki is a great show to hopefully build off of and course correct some of this stuff, kind of retcon some of their shit. So, in the sake of keeping this one short, please let us know your theories in the comments. Sound off. If you're here live on Twitch, do it. I'm sure George and I are going to be playing some Sea of Thieves after this. We're happy to talk to you. If you want to sound off in the YouTube comments, let us know. We want to know. We want to talk about this. Clearly, we're chomping at the bit to talk more about this. So, other than that, if you've had a good time, thank you for watching. And we've been The Modern Nerd.